Today we're talking all about getting exposure for your music, particularly through blogs and blog reviews. Coming up. Welcome back, my name is Jack. Thanks for tuning in to another video. If you're new here, it's my goal to help creative music makers make better music at home. Well, today we're not talking about making music, but we are talking about marketing your music, releasing your music, and I'm going to share some tips and some tricks and some strategies, if you will, on how I think you can make your release even better. So I'm going to be real with you. Everybody wants the blogs to write about their music. Everyone wants news articles when they drop a record. Everyone wants as many people talking about their new single or EP as possible when it's released. And honestly, the planning and promotion you do before the release can in some ways be even more beneficial than what you do after the release. I've seen a lot of artists do it. Well, they'll spend a lot of time on their music and then they'll get to the point where they're like, I'm ready to release it. I've been sitting on this project for a while. I just want to get it out. So they go to their distributor. I use DistroKid, upload the music, and set the release date for as soon in the future as possible, usually within a day or so, and they just get their music out. But in reality, the time you spend before the release, the pre-promotion, the emails you send, and the write-ups that you secure beforehand make a big difference and help turn your music release from, hey, the kid down the street released some music, to everybody's talking about this record in just a few simple steps. And we're going to be going over those tips in this video. I've got 5 of them. Make sure you stick around to the end. I do think they're going to be helpful and make a difference. But before I get into it, if you enjoy this video, please do like, comment, let me know what you thought, let me know what you liked, let me know if you want to see something new in the future, and do hit subscribe before you go so that you can stay up to date on all my future uploads. Alright, now tip number 1 might seem a little obvious, but it's something that I think is really important. If you're in the stage of your release where you're reaching out to bloggers or writers or anyone you think would write about or share your music, it's a really good idea to have the music finished. And why? So that they can see the final product, they can listen to the music, and they can know what it is they're agreeing to promote. I recommend having your entire project finished, having a release date set, and reaching out to those bloggers or writers about 1 to 2 weeks before the actual release date. This is important because most bloggers or writers won't be concerned or won't want to write about music that's already been released. If you're not a huge artist already, they probably won't care about talking about your music unless they have the opportunity to be the person to discover you. So making sure that EP isn't already released is really important and is going to get more interest from potential reviewers. The second tip is to strategically target the bloggers or writers or influencers that you're reaching out to for reviews about your music. And the way I like to do it, or what I recommend my students, is to think of the top 2 or 3 artists that you are most influenced by, or who you could see yourself opening up for. For example, maybe you've done some soul searching and you decide that you sound like The Weeknd. Well, what you're going to want to do is go on to Google and type in The Weeknd, but then instead of hitting search, I recommend going to news, hitting search, and then what usually is generated is a bunch of news articles or write-ups about The Weeknd. And then from there, what you want to do is click on those articles, scan through for a name, contact information. If you have the name but no email, you can look them up on Twitter or Instagram, usually find a way to reach out there. But basically what you want to do is find out who wrote about The Weeknd and find their contact information. And you can put that in a spreadsheet or a Google Doc, whatever is convenient for you, but you want to keep track of that information. And I like to link the URL as well so I can go back and check that resource later if I want to. The third tip has to do with how you actually send the email or reach out to those music reviewers. And this is a really important step because in a lot of ways, this is make or break between whether or not they listen to your music or send your email right to the trash can. The first thing I recommend is a good subject line, and I would say don't try too hard on this. Don't seem pushy or forceful, and definitely don't trick them into opening the email. Make sure it's relevant, make sure it's considerate and straightforward. So for example, you might want to put something down like music that sounds like The Weeknd, or Weekend style music, or reply to Weekend review, or something like that. But the point is, be truthful, be upfront, and keep it short and sweet. Now, once you're actually in your email and you're typing out the body itself, you want to be sure to put their name in there if you have it, and also fall back on some kind of personal connection. So reference the article that you found their name on. Compliment their work, comment on some of their other articles if you can find some, but show that you're not just a computer or someone trying to shamelessly promote their own work. Try to make a personal connection with the person, and they'll be much more likely to consider your music down the line. Now, after you have that personal connection point, you might want to say something like this. Hey, I was reading your article about The Weeknd. I'm a musician that makes similar music to The Weeknd, and I have a record coming out in 2 weeks. I thought I might share it with you. If you feel so compelled to write about it, awesome. If not, I hope you enjoy the music anyways, and then a link. And the next important tip here within this is when you're sending emails with your music, don't ever attach a file to the email. And there's multiple reasons for this. One, if the person doesn't know who you are, why would they trust a random email with a random attachment? Sure, you might have named the MP3 file not a virus, but do they really know what that is? No. Two, it's not convenient for them to download a file, and it is fairly intrusive when it comes to their organization and their computer, because once they listen to the music, they gotta delete the song if they don't want to leave it on their computer. It's just kind of intrusive. So the best way to do it, and the way that these people want to see artists submit their music, 9 times out of 10, is gonna be with a free streaming link. So this could be a private SoundCloud link, it could be a Dropbox link where they could download or listen, but you do want to make sure they can play it on their browser and then download if they want. Make sure they can listen without downloading, otherwise I guarantee they're gonna put your email in the trash and they're not gonna download your track. In addition to a free streaming and download link, you really wanna have a second link, and that link is gonna be a general folder on Google Drive or Dropbox that has a few different organized subfolders. And those folders could be something like promo images, bios. It's really important to include both a short bio and a long bio. If you're not sure what those are, I do recommend looking them up, as well as any other links to previous write-ups, previous music, links to social media, or anything you think is relevant that they should know about you. Because the idea here is you want to make it as easy as possible for this person to write about your music. Let's say they're super busy and during their lunch they felt like, all right, I'll give this guy a chance, I'll listen to his music. So they listen to your music and they're like, wow, this is pretty great. I only have a few minutes here to type something out. They're not gonna have time to write you back asking for photos, asking for bios, social media links, or any of that kind of stuff. So if you send everything they need to actually do the write-up in that first email, not only does it make you look professional and organized, but it gives the writer the path of least resistance to actually make the content without needing anything further from you. Now, the fourth tip is a big one and something that I really recommend taking the time to think about, make peace with, and understand that this is just the reality we're all in. And I like to call it the 10% rule. And a lot of times 10% might be even a little high, but here's the idea. The idea is that if you want one blog to write about you on release day, you need to send your music to 10 different blogs or writers. These days, with email open rates being really low and everyone being swamped by other people and other music and just our responsibilities in general, you're only going to see about 10% of people you reach out to, maybe less, but about 10% on average that might actually respond back. Now, if the 10 blogs you email are all Rolling Stone, your open rate and reply rate is probably going to be less than 10%. But if they're everyday smaller blogs, keep that 10% rule in mind, and it actually makes it a little bit easier to stomach when people don't respond, because if you accept going into it that you're only going to get 10% response back from the emails you submit, then you just got to say, all right, if I want 10 blogs to write about me, I'm going to send out 100. And you know what? I don't have to expect any more than 10 replies because I know that's just the way the world works and I've made peace with that. So do keep that in mind. Next, we have tip number 5, and it does kind of go against what I mentioned in tip 2, but that's okay. It's kind of 2 different ways of doing this. I do recommend going through tip 2, but also use this and keep tip number 5 in mind. And that is to target small blogs. So what I recommend doing for your first project, second project, is to use the second page of Google. Use the third page of Google. Type in indie blog, type in hip hop blog, and go to the second or third page of Google and hit up those blogs. Because here's the thing, right off the bat, you might not get Rolling Stone to review your music, but you might be able to get 10 mini small blogs with creators who are looking for more content, eager to listen to music, and who aren't getting 300 to 400 emails every single day or more of people asking them to review their music. They will have a smaller audience, yes, of course, but if you can have 10 small blogs writing about you on release date, each with 10 viewers, that's 100 people extra that you wouldn't have had listening to your music the moment it came out. Who knows, maybe each one of those 10 has 100 viewers. Before you know it, the numbers stack up pretty quick. And the cool thing is, the next time you release music, you can reference all those smaller blogs to encourage the next tier of blogs to take you seriously and write about you. Now I'm feeling generous, and I'm going to give you a 6th bonus tip. If you made it this far and you're listening to this 6th tip, let me know in the comments. I want to know that you made it this far. Tip number 6 is to check out SubmitHub. I have mixed feelings about SubmitHub. I'm not sponsored to say any of this. I've not really taken them too seriously, but I know a lot of people who have had a lot of success with SubmitHub. And basically what SubmitHub is it's the middleman between a lot of the larger blogs. And what you might find when you're looking for blogs is that a lot of them will actually point you back to SubmitHub and ask you to submit through there. And that's okay. I think it's a nice way of doing things. The problem though is you usually have to pay, and a lot of people submit through SubmitHub. So although you might have access to more blogs or bigger blogs, you will probably have to pay, and there will be a lot more saturation. So I do recommend using a combination of your own personal searches, SubmitHub, as well as looking for those smaller, lesser known blogs to try to build up that hype for your next release. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the tips I have for this one, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope these topics are things you might not always be thinking about, and I hope you walk away feeling inspired and feeling like you got some value out of this. If you did, please do me a solid favor and hit like on the video so that YouTube knows it was a good video and will continue to put it out to new viewers just like you. And hey, if you connected with me on this video, please hit subscribe, turn on those bell notifications, and stick around for more videos. I'm always looking for feedback. I'm always looking for suggestions to help me on that path and help direct the content. So if you enjoyed the video and you feel personally invested, let me know what kind of video I could make next, and I will see you in that next upload. Peace.